Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Mike here from Athletics and Recreation at Seneca College. This is our first session of virtual classes that we're offering once again here from our homes until we can head back to campus and participate in our lovely facilities. So welcome. This is functional training. What we're going to be doing is carrying some of the exercises that we did in the past couple of semesters forward, adding some new ones. And so everyone's welcome to join for this session. So functional training is basically summarized as using total body movements in different directions to work every muscle and joint while also maintaining balance and coordination. So a lot of kind of sport specific movements, but also beginner and intermediate as well. So let's get started with a little bit of a warm up, and we're going to loosen up starting on the floor. We're going to do some scapular push-ups to help mobilize our shoulders for any upper body movements. So what you'll want to do is in a push-up position from the knees is lift your feet off the ground. Your knees are supported on the floor. Your hands are directly underneath your shoulders, your chest. And instead of doing a full range of motion push-up, all you're doing is keeping your arms extended. Try from a different angle here. And you're just retracting your shoulder blades, bringing them together, sinking in, and fully opening them up. So that's all you're doing, keeping the arms locked out, is lowering and raising, just using your shoulder girdle. So your shoulder blades are coming together, and then you're separating them. So do a few more there. All the tissue surrounding the shoulder joint and girdle is helping stabilize and working small little muscles that otherwise you'd ignore while doing big movements. So it's a good warm up. We'll do a couple more here. Okay. Leaning back into a child's pose stretch. And sliding up, slowly standing up. And we're going to begin some bigger movements for a warm up here. So let's do the pivot lunge with an overhead reach. So basically what you're going to do is in an exaggerated stance here, so really far apart. And you're going to just go down about halfway with that back knee. So if your right leg is in front, you're going to take your left hand. As you're lowering down into that lunge, you're going to reach across your body. You're going to get a stretch here in the hip flexors. Okay, and then what you're going to do is as soon as you finish that movement, you're going to pivot your feet so that you've done a 180, and now you're the other direction. So a lot of balance involved there. You're going to lower down into that lunge and reach across your body with the opposite hand. Pivoting the feet, hand on the hip, other hand reaching across the body as well. You're getting a full body stretch here. With the movement, you're involving dynamic balance. You're kind of hitting everything that you need in order to complete some of the upcoming exercises. Once you get the hang of it, you can increase the tempo just slightly. Again, low intensity. This is a warm-up. No ballistic movement. We'll do two more. And done. Excellent. And to finish off these movements, the prerequisites for the actual workout is our three-point lunge. So what you're going to do is 3 different position lunges. First one is just a basic forward lunge, step back, a lateral lunge, and then a reverse lunge to finish the 3. So again, 1, back, 2, back, reverse lunge. Okay, let's continue those. And finish. Okay, switch sides. So left leg is our lead leg now. 1, 2, off to the side, and reverse lunge behind. 2 more rounds. One more. and done. Okay, great. Okay, take 30 seconds. Make sure you have some hand weights nearby. You're gonna need those for some of the exercises. So we'll start with one hand weight. So if you have that dumbbell or household item, we're gonna lower it down to the floor in this position here. So we're gonna be in a kneeling, half kneeling position, resting our legs on the ground. So you're not contracting the legs, they're just here in this position. And I'm gonna show you from the other angle. What we're gonna do here is a core exercise. We're gonna do a modified wood chop. So it's a form of torso rotation that's gonna use a lot of the core muscles, as well as some mobility. So your lower body, and you'll notice some restrictions in the hip area that might be slightly tight when you're trying to follow through with the wood chop movement, okay? So in this lunge kneeling position, you're gonna take that hand weight holding each side, and you're going to lower it down past this leg. So this here wouldn't be enough range of motion. You have to bring it back more. You're almost touching it to the floor, not quite. So here, and then you're gonna follow through and go a little higher above the shoulder level and bring it back down. And what you wanna try to do, this is the most important part of the exercise, is to avoid using your shoulders as the primary mover. It's not an upper body exercise. The arms stay extended out, and all the movement and power comes from the torso rotation, stemming from the hips. Down and follow through. Go down slower and follow through with a quicker acceleration. Just like that. Down, rotation. Let's do 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, switching sides. So other leg is in front. And now, here we go. Lowering down and follow through. Focus on that rotation. Engage your abdominal muscles. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Keeping it here as opposed to here. Four, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, great. So that version, that wood chop, that torso rotation, you can manipulate and do many different variations. Standing, squat position, full lunge position. You can just be as creative as possible. Okay, grab a quick drink of water. Okay, and just kind of walk around active recovery. So far, we've incorporated total body movements. So that means that the target isn't one thing. We're not isolating one muscle group. So whether the prime mover is the upper body or the lower body, they're all doing something to assist in that movement. So if the lower body isn't moving for a rotation, but it's stabilizing, and vice versa. Okay, so keep that in mind. I want to make sure the whole body is involved in every exercise. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing by using the total body, but now incorporating dynamic balance. Okay, so this makes things much more difficult. So we're going to do what's basically just a hip hinge or a single-legged deadlift. Okay, so instead of doing obviously both feet on the floor, we're going to do one foot is planted, and the other foot is going to be going behind you, pulling it back. Okay, so because this is our first week back from the holiday break, we're not going to do any advanced versions of this. There are plenty, and we will add those progressions in the next coming weeks for this class. Let's start, no weights or anything. We're just going to have both hands in front, keeping your hips and shoulders square facing forward, bending that front knee that's stabilizing, and then extending that back leg out. You could even reach forward and then pull. Whatever helps you. You can have your hands on your waist, across the body, whatever helps you balance more efficiently. But you want to stick out that back leg as far as possible when you go down, and then pull it back, finish the movement. Down. I have an object here in front of me, this pole I can use to help balance, or you can face a wall, and that will help if you're learning this for the first time. Really focus on that glute on the way back here, and then contract the glute muscles to help. We'll do one more. Okay, other leg. The left foot's planted, right foot does the extension behind. Okay, this one might be more difficult for you. I know it is for me. This feels more awkward on that non-dominant foot that's planted. Can't quite go as far down. It's something you need to work on to balance both sides. Three, two, one more, and complete. Okay, walk around. Active recovery. And then we're going to slowly transition back to the floor. So take your time. Best way to do this is in stages. The first stage, half kneeling position that we did for the wood chops, as opposed to going right down to the floor where you can get quite busy. Okay, starting here, this is stage one. Start to recognize your breathing rate, your heart rate should be slowing down a little bit before you head down to the floor. Then full kneeling, and then you can kind of lean back on your heels. Take a couple of deep breaths. It's always better to think quality over quantity. So unless you're in an immediate rush and you need to squeeze the workout in 15 minutes or less, really take your time so that the other exercises that are towards the end of your session aren't done poorly or can hurt yourself, and you want to put more quality into it. So the best way to do that is the proper rest to get back to where you were. Okay, and then slowly down to the floor in this position, which we are going to do a version of the plank. So I forgot to mention, sorry, you want to have a hand weight with you. So that same weight you use for the torso rotation, the wood chop, what we're going to do is a next level of plank. So traditionally a prone plank is done from the elbows, like so, or up in the hands in that push-up position. So you're going to maintain that position for isometric strength and endurance. So basically you're just contracting in no primary movement. So you're just holding that position, and the core muscles, upper body, lower body, everything is maintaining that position. Whereas now we want to increase the difficulty by adding movement to that. So how we're going to do it is starting in that push-up plank position, having that weight on the outside hand. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that, slide it underneath your body on the outside of the other hand. Again, here, pulling it through. So obviously your hips will go down a little bit for each trade-off that you do under your body. You want to try to maintain the contraction the best you can. So making sure that your butt doesn't sink too far down, that your shoulders are nice and stabilized, your arms are extended, so that when you're doing the movements, you're not losing the benefit of what the plank is intended for. So here we go. Let's do 10. Holding that position, ready, go. Switch to the other side, return. Hold that for a second. Have your feet a little further apart than you would for a normal push-up. 3, return. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Now hold it and drop the knees, leaning back, sitting on the heels. A deep breath. Excellent. So again, that's just one version. There are many different versions you can do. You can do a renegade row where you do a one-arm dumbbell row as opposed to the underneath, which will be a progression from this. But let's start off with that. That's plenty enough for that objective. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, push that weight off to the side. We don't need that any longer. We're going to be sitting down. And what we're going to do now, again, is total body. We're always working everything, is a tabletop. So basically, it's a reverse plank, okay, in a supine position, which is facing the ceiling, okay? So tabletop, basically your feet are planted on the floor, hands are behind you, lifting your butt off the ground, and try to have that as high as possible, as if you were to make, yes, a table. But what we're going to do to make this more difficult, as opposed to just holding that, is involve more torso rotation and mobility of the upper body. So we want to do a reach of some kind. So what that means and what that looks like, I'll show you. Here, you're going to do opposite touches. So right foot to left hand, bringing it back. Left foot, right hand, bringing it back. So a lot of strength is involved in the opposite sides that are stabilizing. So if it's your right arm reaching, your left arm is holding you there, and your core is stabilizing so that you're not tilting too much to one side. And you're getting a lot of mobility and flexibility with that reach to try to touch them together. And of course, the core muscles working for that movement. All right, so here, let's keep it going. Let's do 9 more. Here we go. Up and go. 1, 2. I used to call this a break dancer. You could also call it that. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to finish. 10 and done. Excellent. Okay, and again, let's take a moment, a couple deep breaths before we go all the way down to the floor, which is our end position. And we're going to finish off with some glute bridge variations, just to make sure that our glutes are isolated here. It helps alleviate hip flexor tightness from sitting down too much, especially being at home now a lot. So glute bridge, so you're in a supine position, lying on your back, feet planted on the floor, head down, rested. You want to feel neutral spine, so there should be space in your lower back. It should not be flat against the floor. What you're going to do with your heels, digging straight down into the floor, lift your butt off the ground, and you really want to focus, intentionally squeeze those glute muscles for about 3 to 5 seconds, and then relax, setting it back down on the floor. And then repeat that a few times just to get them engaged. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Remember your glutes, just like any other muscle, like your arm, you can flex it. You want to flex or contract that muscle, you're doing the same thing. And down. Let's do 2 more times. So up, squeeze, 3, 2, 1. Once more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're also not going up too high. We're not exaggerating that lift. It's just a few inches off the ground. That's all you need before the hamstrings take over. Okay? So now we're going to do 1 leg at a time. Same thing, lifting the other foot off the floor, digging in, lifting 1, 2, 3, 4, and down. Keep it on this side. Lift 1, 2, 3, 4, and down. 2 more times. Last one. Great. Other side. Left foot planted, right foot lifted, ready, and lift. 1,
2, 3, and 1, 2. Should really start feeling the glutes working now. Last one. Okay, resting down, taking your time up. Grab your knees, hold it here. Sitting up. And we're going to do a couple stretches. So right from this position, I want you to get into what we call the pigeon pose. So bent leg in front, and then the back leg out behind, extended, and putting your weight over top of this front leg to get that stretch along the outside of the hip. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we're going to switch. So now your left is bent and the other leg is going behind, and you're over top of that front leg and you're holding. You're going to feel this everywhere. Hip flexors in the back leg, glutes on the front. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming over top of the body now, and in a 4-point position. So hands and knees. And we're going to do just the cat-cow. So working the back really high and then sinking down. 3 seconds each. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Once more each. Up. 2, 3. Sink. 2, 3. Leaning back. We're going to do the half kneeling position. Hip flexor stretch. So lead leg and then leaning forward. This opposite arm across the leg, rotate slightly so you're facing 45-degree angle. Instead of forward, slightly rotate. Leaning back, just to reset, and going down one more time. Back, pushing sides now. Here we are. Ready, leaning forward, rotate. Reset, and once more. Back and down. Okay, excellent. All right. Thank you everyone for doing our first functional training workout of this winter semester. I hope I really get to see you soon in person. Until then, join us. You got to stay moving, stay active, and it helps our physical and mental well-being. So thanks again and enjoy. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.